Okay, we're going to be getting down to this number breakdown real close here, but what I want you to see here is this. Samson is considered the 13th judge. Well, I want to tell you that that's where we get this 13th Baktun from, which is the same symbology of this 12 times 12,000 equals 144,000. Now, you could consider that of each group, but the only difference is in the 12 tribes scenario, we're missing this 13th member. Well, there's a reason, because the 13th member is a judge. That's exactly right. Here's the 13th member, which is representing this 13th Baktun, which is representing this coming time of judgment. And I can even show you where Samson is being prepared, this hollow place in the earth, to take refuge on those that are trying to kill him. Just like what we saw with Cain being driven from the face of the earth, off the face of the earth, because of those who were trying to slay him. And then the proclamation is that they were going to try to slay his ascendants all throughout these years in the coming times. Now, if you make the connections with Nod, you'll see the connections with Samson, and you'll begin to understand where Samson gets this incredible strength from. Now, I want you to see the symbolic relationship of what we have with this golden age that's about to take place. Samson comes upon this lion. Okay, this is chapter 14, the book of Judges. This is going to be verse 6. He renders the lion, which means he kills it. And in verse 8, we come to this point. And after a time he returned to take her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion. And behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. Well, check this out, my friends. This is representing the golden age. That's exactly what the honey does, and it's being represented when this strong delusion comes, or this great falling away comes, in this faith of this conquering lion, which is that none other than Jesus Christ. I want you to notice that it takes place, the story in the vineyards. I want you to notice that Jesus Christ is considered and even calls himself the true vine. Now, friends, you don't understand the symbolism that's taking place here. If you follow my series, The Arrival of the Locust, you'll begin to understand. So we see that he eats this honey out of the carcass. And at this point, he proposes this riddle. And he says this, and he said unto them, out of the eater come forth meat. Listen, the people say, put forth thy riddle, that we may hear it. And Samson says, and he said unto them, out of the eater come forth meat, and out of the strong come forth sweetness. Now remember that binding of the sweet influences of the Pleiades? That's right. Now if you begin to research the information that I told you, you'll begin to understand what these 7 stars are right here, which are the representation for the Pleiades. And then you'll begin to understand the representation of what we have of this binded serpent within this cyclic of time, which is being represented to the sweet influence of the Pleiades. And of course the bands of Orion, and how all of this is going to relate directly back to Samson and his little peculiar riddle right here. So listen here once again. Out of the eater come forth meat, and out of the strong come forth sweetness. He's talking about a coming golden age, which is based upon that specific cycle of time that I told you has everything to do with the Euphrates River chapter, which is chapter 9 in the book of Revelations, which is talking about the loosel of these angels. And here is what he's talking about. Here's the riddle being cracked right before your eyes. Now Samson says, out of the eater will come forth meat. And then this golden age shall result from this sweetness of these strong ones. Now, if you know anything about the locust, it's about the appearance of these supposed aliens who are supposed to be our salvation. Now, if you know their tie-up to Genesis 6, these mighty men of old, men of renown, you'll begin to understand that they represent the strong ones. Now, if you understand what Job said in chapter 38 concerning the Orion and the Pleiades and their star connection to Genesis 6, and how he's asking who's going to be able to bind or who's going to be able to loose the sweet influences of the Pleiades, and then you begin to make the connection here, you're going to begin to see that, my friends, this is called the Aurora Boreas, or the Aurora Boreas. And the Aurora Boreas is none other than out of the eater come forth meat.